the data sensor stack can do a lot of really cool things for us. In the default mode, if we turn it on, there's a little switch right here. It runs off the battery, and right now it's blinking 15, which means it's recording to the 15th file on the SD card. Also, this LED is blinking on the side. And right now it is recording data off of all of the sensors that I've told it to, and I'll show you how you tell it to. And so as I move this, it's recording the data there. You can also record light and other things. If you were to record light, I would make sure that my configuration file is set to where we don't have the LED display, and then we record like that. I'm not going to do that right now because my configuration file is not set that way. So this is but that's the light sensor right now, and I want to just go over each one of the sensors that are on this so that you have an idea of what you can do with this. So let's boost up my font really big. Okay, there is a 3-axis accelerometer. What's an accelerometer? An accelerometer measures acceleration due to gravity or movement. And in this particular case, I think that is on this chip right here, a little itty bitty black one that I'm not showing you. So there's a little itty bitty black chip that's on this. And that looks like, that's actually the one that's most visible right here. This actually has an accelerometer, the gyroscope, and the magnetometer all in one chip. It's really amazing. But the accelerometer, right now, at rest, it's measuring acceleration due to gravity. What does that mean to you? Well, right now, since it's 3 axes, what's going to happen is we live in a 3-dimensional world. And so this can be oriented, and so we're going to call this X, Y, and Z axes. Okay? And right now, if the Z axis is this one pointing straight up and down, it's going to register 1G. Okay? And everything else should register 0 if everything is perfect. If I switch it over, this is the x-axis. X-axis will now be measuring either plus or minus 1G, depending on which way it is. That might be plus 1G. That might be minus 1G. And then there's one other axis, which is this one here. And right here, the y-axis is going to measure plus or minus 1G, depending on which way it's set up. And so we'll do that. So that's an accelerometer. What's the next one? The next one is a gyroscope. And this is also 3-axis. What does that measure? That measures rotation. So if I were to spin this, the gyroscope would measure a spin on the z-axis like this. I'm using what's called the right-hand rule. And if I can get this to where I'm actually showing it to you. So if we spin it like this, in this way, so if I were to right-hand rule, my thumb is in the direction of how we're going to define it. But if I spin it this way, that would be a positive Y or positive Z axis. If I were to put it on its side and spin it and keep it on its side, that would be a positive X. And then keep it on this side and spin it, that's a positive Y rotation. Actually, it'd have to be the other way for positive. And so we're going to have to figure out how to do that. So those are 2 of the 3 sensors. The other one is a magnetometer, and is sensitive enough to measure the magnetic field of the Earth. So it is also 3-axis. And that one, since north is approximately that way in my office, as I'm showing you this, since north is approximately this way, and if I turn it on, in this particular case, the x-axis would show a positive value. Okay, it would still be the x-axis, which still shows a positive value. And it's only when I rotate it in line with this one over here that we get a positive value on the z-axis or a positive value on the y-axis. You can also get a magnet, that if you bring a magnet to the table on this, what's going to happen is you're going to blow out the sensor. In other words, it won't hurt it, but it will be saturated. You'll get a very strong. But you can change the sensitivity of all of these. But you could bring over an external magnet and play around and figure out exactly how that works. And we'll give you a demo of that here in a second. We also have a single axis light sensor. That's the yellow thing right there. If you wanted to use the light sensor, you'd have to configure it to where it does not use the 7-segment LED display. There's also a pressure, a barometric pressure. That one is rather slow, so it doesn't register changes very quickly, but that's the one in the very center. And then along with that one is a temperature, but there's also a temperature and humidity sensor over here on the one side with a little dot in it. So all of those sensors log back or can be logged back to that central piece. And so now we have our complete data structure system like that. And all we have to do is turn it on. And if you remember from previously, now I'm logging to file 16. Every time I turn it off and turn it back on, it loads to a new file.